Не вставать! Лежать!
The large Russian offensive in the east has begun. In the middle of the night, Russian artillery started shelling several Ukrainian cities, followed by a massive Russian advance across the whole front line. Now Vladimir Putin has basically drawn a straight line on the map, from Kharkiv in the north to Mariupol in the south. The Russians plan on taking all Ukrainian territory east of that line. However, the first 2 days of the offensive hasn't exactly gone well for the Russian army. Across almost the whole front line, the Ukrainians have filled the Russians off. Intense and brutal fighting are reported in Izium, Chernihiv, Severodonetsk and Marinka. The latter 3 cities are still firmly in Ukrainian hands. The latest reports are telling us that the Ukrainian army has made a tactical retreat from Izium and the salient between that city and Severodonetsk. The reason for this tactical retreat is that the Ukrainians are thinking smart. By leaving Izium and the salient, the Ukrainians have effectively shortened the front line by around 100 kilometers. A very smart move by the Ukrainian army. In the village of Darfenke, just to the south of Izium, cowardly Russian troops tried to enter the city while dressed up in Ukrainian uniforms. They were discovered by the real Ukrainian army and the Russian ruse was denied. In the nearby village Dubrovnik, another Russian advance was denied by the Ukrainian army. In Popasna, brutal street fighting has been reported ever since the Russians entered the city. The Russian advance through the city is going very slow though. They have seized several apartment blocks and a police station in the very eastern part of the city. The Ukrainians, however, has mounted a competent defense of the city. As of right now, they have destroyed at least 12 Russian tanks, a fighter jet and a helicopter. In the north, and now it gets interesting, in the north, the Ukrainians are right now making a counterattack, reclaiming lost territory. Now the Russians are getting most of the supplies for the army from this military base. It's situated in the Russian city of Belgorod, just across the border north of Kharkiv. Now this is a big problem for Vlad the Mad. This one counterattack is disrupting the Russian army across the whole Donbas region. Without supplies, the army can't move forward. There have been rumors circulating that the Russian army wasn't actually ready to begin their attack yet, but that they've been pushed by the Kremlin to begin it anyway. The reason for that being Vladimir Putin's need to show a victory to his people. Remember, the 9th of May, the Russian Victory Day, is just around the corner. Vladimir Putin plans, and I kid you not, he plans to hold a victory parade in Mariupol. Yeah, he wants the Russian soldiers to march victorious through the ruined streets of Mariupol, literally marching on top of the tens of thousands of innocent civilians who had their lives stolen away from them by these very same soldiers.
Кто нам детей вернет? Кто?
Speaking of Mariupol, and we need to speak about it again, what is happening there is extremely important. As you know, around 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers are still in control of the enormous Azovstal steel plant, where they are protecting thousands of civilians from the Russian onslaught. Now the Azovstal plant is actually so giant that it fills up nearly a third of the entire city. The Russians are bombing it day and night.
Там уже этот завод лупят авиаударами.
Азов?
Завод, сталь.
Ну, я говорю, Азов, сталь?
Да, уже там его переворачивают. Ждем тут сюрпризы от России.
Какие?
3-тонные с неба.
Кидать?
Да.
Ой, ебана мать. Знаешь,
Да.
какой там это будет взрыв какой-то все
Там
будет?
будет писец просто. Сказали сравнять всю землю.
But the Ukrainians are not giving them even an inch. This means that the whole Russian offensive is slowed down significantly, as many thousands of Russian troops who are really needed elsewhere have to stay in Mariupol. The Ukrainian government have several times tried to create humanitarian corridors to get the remaining civilians out of the city and to safety in western Ukraine. Their attempts, however, have been in vain. The last couple of times the Russians agreed to let civilians leave the city was ruses. The Russians never intended on letting them leave. The civilians were either shot at, bombed, or deported to camps in remote parts of Russia. So even though the Russians today said they would establish a corridor for civilians to leave the steel plant, most civilians have decided that they would rather take their chances with the brave Ukrainian soldiers. They probably don't want to go to Siberia anyway. Now, and this simply can't be said enough, the Ukrainian soldiers from the Azov Battalion, the 56th Mechanized Infantry, the 19th Assault Brigade, and the Marine Corps, who are still defending Mariupol, are absolute heroes. Not just Ukrainian heroes, but European heroes. And whatever may befall them in the unpredictable future, they will never be forgotten. Just to show you how absolutely brave they are, take a look here. What you are looking at are soldiers from the Azov Battalion who have snuck in behind enemy lines. These few soldiers are single-handedly ambushing and completely destroying a Russian supply convoy, without taking any casualties themselves. I know I wouldn't want to be fighting these guys. And looking at the Russian soldiers, they know that too. Heavy weapons sent to Ukraine from the West are starting to arrive en masse. That includes everything from tanks, armored vehicles, self-propelled artillery, and all the way over to missile systems, and even the fighter jets that the Ukrainians have been asking for a long time. And the Ukrainians aren't wasting any time putting these weapons to use. They are basically used in action from the minute they are taken off the train. With these new weapons arriving every day, the Ukrainians can hopefully push the invaders back from where they came. The Russian army is actually performing so poorly in Ukraine that Russian state media are saying that they are not only fighting the Ukrainians, but as a matter of fact, they are fighting the whole NATO alliance. Now there are basically two things we can take from this. The first one is that Putin needs an excuse as to why his army is failing so miserably in Ukraine. The second and most important thing is that the Kremlin could be preparing the Russian population for an actual confrontation with NATO. Vladimir has already escalated the war so much that it certainly can't be ruled out that he would bomb NATO arms shipments on the EU side of the border with Ukraine. By doing that, he would in an instant trigger Article 5. NATO and Russia are already as close to being at war with each other without actually being at war. All it takes now is a tiny spark to light the bomb. A small miscalculation, Vladimir Putin getting just a little overconfident. We should hope for the best, but we have to prepare for the worst. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please go and give it a like. If you want more content like this, please go and subscribe to my channel.